Luke Payson. Welcome back to everyone who is already a subscriber to the show. If you're not already a subscriber to the MMA Fancast YouTube channel, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now. I am going to be joined by the main event for 247 Fighting Championship. Their next event, which is 247 MMA at the Venue 5, under a week away. It is Fight Week. March 14th is that event going down at Sunny Days Arena at the Venue. Very excited to have Sunshine Brittany Bickhart. Sunshine, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
It is always great to have you on the show. I was joking before we started recording that with the sunshine we're having today. It's a perfect day to have you on, Sunshine. Where you are, Sunshine, where I am, it's great. I always like the fact that your nickname is Sunshine, and people from your gym have talked about how you're always smiling and you're so upbeat and positive, of course, outside of the cage, and then your demeanor switches. When did that start as far as your personality of being very friendly and infectious, but also being very focused and aggressive inside kickboxing, Muay Thai, or MMA?
I think it just started as young Brit because I think I've always just liked to have fun, joke around, kind of just appreciate, I don't know, life, have fun with your friends. Like that's kind of like whether it was like practice at sports, it was like always the best part of my day, hanging out with everyone. But then you're there for a reason, and that's like the fun part of competing and like kind of flipping that switch. And yeah, I think just like as a kid, I've always have been like that.
Well, that makes perfect sense. You've earned your nickname since you were a young Brit. That works great. Now, you have a pro MMA fight coming up for 247. It's a big night, the 247 MMA at the Venue 5 card, because you're on it, but also the co-main event is another pro women's MMA in Bat Queen Cheyenne Hall, who I've had on the show. So it's been fun to talk to her, and I'll talk to you. 247's been really emphasizing, which I think is great, the fact that both of you are such big, important draws for Pittsburgh MMA and also obviously women's MMA. How do you see yourself as headlining this card, and is it exciting for you and Cheyenne to be kind of the faces of Pittsburgh MMA and also bringing up women's MMA along with it?
Yeah, I think it's like surreal. It's just incredible for me and to be the main event. It's just and like co-main with Cheyenne as well. Like I think we're both the main event, honestly. And it's just like I'm just really, really, really honored. I listened to Cheyenne's podcast with you, and she explained like how we kind of came up together, and we both moved to Pittsburgh around the same time and started training together and have been training partners for years. So anytime I had a fight, she was there for me. If I wasn't injured, anytime she had a fight, I was there training with her too. And now we can fight on the same night. And it feels just like a really special night as well. And so to do that with one of my really good friends who I've been starting this with, and then also like the all female grappling card, and then just kind of like, be a part of everything. It just feels surreal, and I'm just like truly, truly so happy about it.
Yes, great connection to that. Wonderful that you're able to listen to Cheyenne's podcast and how great of a connection and friendship you guys have. It's also really cool because when Cheyenne and I were doing that podcast, maybe like 4 minutes before we did that videotaping of the interview, 247 had put out the posters of the all women, the all female undercard of grappling, which I had not put together and Cheyenne hadn't put together, seeing all the announcements. So that's really cool. Just to repeat what you said, that the jiu-jitsu grappling side, which is like the undercard, is also all women. And then of course there's amateur MMA on the card that does have guys, but it's just great to see the level of women competition. Now, you had mentioned when you're not injured, and of course, it is a big storyline. You had a terrible, I'm assuming ACL, some type of knee injury. It was out on Facebook. That's not like secret. And you had to have surgery, and you're very good at posting like the hard pictures and videos of your recovery. I'm going to say it's about a year and a half ago when you got injured. Can you walk us through kind of what it was and what the timeline of recovery's been like for you and what the journey of recovery's been for you?
Yeah. So back I had surgery of July of 24, I believe. So I tore it in my fight, in that devastating loss. So I think coupled with those together was kind of like, to start, it was really hard, a really hard pill to swallow. So what I had done, I tore it's my second ACL tear. So I had a lot of wear and tear on my bone, and I was basically like bone on one side of my knee joint. So they coupled my ACL reconstruction with an osteotomy, where they like break my femur and straighten my leg out and like put a steel plate in there and everything. So, right.
Oh gosh. Well, that explains the pictures I remember you sharing on Facebook of the incision and everything. I remember it being like, I'm just looking at it from Facebook, but we're talking very intense, extensive surgery.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a little bit much of a little bit longer than maybe a regular just ACL reconstruction. But once I was able to start running, get the ball rolling, start training, things kind of just like snowballed into being able to compete again in jiu-jitsu. So, but in total, yeah, it's been like, a year and a half, almost 2 years since I've fought.
Well, in talking about that recovery process, it's good to hear that you've already been competing in jiu-jitsu as far as strength and, because it's your ACL, as far as strength and stability, right to left. Does it feel good when you've been competing in jiu-jitsu? And what's your confidence level, obviously, because that's a big part of being able to move freely in MMA as well.
Yeah, for sure. My first competition I did back was Pans in October. And I think my biggest thing was just fear of getting hurt like right away. I was like, just got to make it through and not get hurt. So once I was able to do that, not get hurt, and then I did Worlds and then the Stout fights. So every time I competed, I felt more and more confident in my leg to now I feel fully confident in it. And it's just like, feels really good.
Well, that's great. Like you said, you use the expression snowballing, but in a good way, like it's just built on top of each other. Great to hear that you've had those three main jiu-jitsu competitions to really be able to trust your leg. How has striking been going in general, but also with your leg, particularly checking kicks? I mean, we're talking it's fully good as far as all those aspects of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's really good. Yep.
That's wonderful. Well, now we're through the really I guess the resilient part of you managing the injury, the mental health side, the emotional side of the injury recovery, and now you're fully back. How has it been whenever fight camp started for you, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, whenever it was ago for this fight for the March 14th card, the number 5 card? How has that fight camp felt? You're coming into your third pro fight, you're 1-1, and your opponent's 1-1. So what does this fight feel like for you, and how has this whole camp been going?
Yeah, I think this one was different than the other ones just because this was back from an injury, back from a layoff. I think the biggest thing for me was just like, oh, signing the contract of like, wow, I just like couldn't wait for that moment of like having one of these moments coming up, like a fight, looking forward to a fight. So it really just kind of it felt like everything just feels surreal because the past year and a half have been waiting for this. So I would say a lot of excitement. Like right now, I'm in the middle of the weight cut. I'm excited to cut the weight. I'd rather be cutting weight than not cutting weight because, I've watched everybody else be able to fight and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I can't wait. So now that I can, I just really happy. Fight camp, I just like to train all the time anyway. So kind of just adds a little motivation for me. I'm just like so excited, honestly. So just feels really good.
Well, I think that's one of the things that I look at being a mental health counselor is sort of the meaning you create of things and how most people are not going to say that they're happy to be cutting weight, that they're kind of excited at this point. But to your point, it's because of what it means. You wouldn't be cutting weight if you didn't have a pro, MMA fight and sort of seeing the value in even some of the less enjoyable things just because of what they mean, that seeing the bigger picture and having the importance of what this means. And I think that also goes to show sort of your support network. Many people have talked about you really being not only earning your nickname Sunshine, but also Cheyenne also mentioned the women's MMA training. I think you called it Dark Sundays because of the or something like that. I don't. She named it something on Sundays, Suffering Sundays. Maybe it didn't sound wonderful, but the women's MMA because you're at Stout, she's at the Mat Factory, but really there's a cross training within all of Pittsburgh in general, MMA cross training, but also women's MMA really cross trains at the Mat Factory on Sundays. And so, talk a little bit about, like you mentioned, the training piece, always in training. How excited are you also about where some of your partners are, the people that you see on Suffering Sunday or whatever that kind of women's focused MMA is, and sort of where you see some of your training partners and some of women in or even guy fighters in MMA in the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah, I think it's really really growing. It's just and especially like the women's group. I look back to like when I was sparring on Saturdays, and always most of the time it's just me, Cheyenne, and Carly. And now it's just grown. We have a bunch of women that are looking to do Muay Thai fights at Stout, and then also at Mat Factory you got Liv. She's fighting out there. More girls that want to fight, and so like you can have a Saturday and you're gonna have all your rounds with women, which is like so cool. It's really like also like just inspiring too to watch them do through the startup process of going for this, and also like Erica Amoroso, she's like one of my best friends. She's part of the sisterhood, and so she's gonna be able to compete. I think she's competing twice at the grappling events for the card. I think she has two matches. So
That's
that's really
cool.
fun
That's
too.
really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, yeah. It's either a
She's awesome.
typo or she has two matches. We're gonna go with the fact that she probably, if she's one of your very good friends, it's likely that she probably said, "Sure, I'll take two." Wow, that will be impressive. I'm looking forward to the event this Saturday. The grappling has been, 247's done grappling only events, and then I've really liked how they've been starting to put grappling kind of on an MMA card earlier in the evening, which is just wonderful. And it's really cool to see some of your energy and excitement about. I like the women's group or what we're going to call it. That's just really great to see. I've seen Olivia. I've had Olivia on this show because she coaches. She's a wrestling coach alongside Coach Carly Joe at Waynesburg, and so it's really cool to see also women's wrestling in high school and middle school and college really starting to come along too, which just means that there will be more and more women entering MMA or other martial arts, which is really exciting. What are your thoughts on your opponent? I had mentioned that record-wise, this is kind of like an obvious matchup. It's a good matchup by your record, her record. What are your thoughts on her? What do you know about her? And kind of what are your perspectives coming into this fight against her specifically?
Yeah. So well, I'm like thankful she's doing it because I know it's just hard to find fights as a female. She is, I think, so you mentioned one on one. That's Cheyenne's girl, which is okay.
Oh,
It's okay.
shoot.
It's
Oh no. Okay, correct me, sunshine. I'm man. All right. Okay. Yeah,
not a
that's what
big deal.
happens when I don't write stuff down. Go for it. Tell me.
She's I believe 4-7. So she has a lot of
Oh,
ring time compared to
wow.
me as
Yeah.
a pro. So that is something that I definitely I don't know, I am like I definitely am aware of her cage time compared to me. Like as a pro, I have like a minute and 20 seconds of ring time. So that's like something that, I mean, I'm sure she wants this just as bad as I do, and that's what makes this a crazy sport and a really cool sport because you're going in there. We both want the same thing, so I definitely,
Yeah.
I feel confident, but also I'm sure she does too, and I just, yeah, I respect her a lot.
Well, now of course that you cleared that up, I apologize for the mistake. I do now remember when I wrote it down. parenthesizing 4-7 and remembering, wow, that's a lot of pro fights. Obviously, she's had some losses there, but she's coming into her 11th or 12th pro fight. So clearly that's a lot more experience. What gives you the confidence? Obviously, you're thankful for her. That's what you said straight up. You're thankful that she's taking the fight. The confidence of going up, obviously in the experience level of your opponent. What is exciting to you, or what gives you the confidence to be able to take on somebody who's, to you mentioned you have a minute and 20 seconds. She has whatever 11 pro fights are before this of cage time.
Yeah, I just think my mental, I feel very secure in where I'm at. I know how good I am. I know what I've pushed myself through. Um, and that's where I think I feel super, super good about it. And yeah, just like everything I've been through and
Right.
what I know I'm capable of. And a lot of this is mental reps. And yes, not exactly like the same cage time I've had as my opponent, but I know mentally I'm there and I know I'm capable of a lot of things. So I think just basically my mentality and my work ethic, and that's what gives me the confidence.
Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense. I think that's one of the exciting parts or healthy parts of the mental side. I'm gonna reference a guy who obviously I know you know very well because he trains at Stout, but Lucas Steel City Siebert actually has a degree in sports psychology, and we often talk about sort of the mental aspect, the confidence, the sports psychology, the sports coaching type side of things, and a lot of what you just said is within your control. Like you're not going to necessarily control everything the other person does in a fight, clearly, but you can control your mindset coming into it, what you do within the cage, and like what you just said, your confidence comes because of all the things that you know that you've been doing, and that kind of builds on the reps and the training, and all of your kind of your support system. So that's wonderful, and it's good for her because she clearly has a lot of experience and wants to keep fighting. And you mentioned it's not easy for anybody at women's pro to get matches, and then sometimes fights fall through and things like that. So I think that obviously makes a lot of sense. It's a very, very exciting matchup and very important. I mentioned this with the Cheyenne interview, and I'll mention this with you. All pro fights are important, right? Pro MMA, it doesn't matter, guy, girl, but it seems like within women's MMA, to be able to have pro fights, for the fighters to be getting, pro fights, that's very important. And where do you think this importance wise ranks in your career? You're 1-1. You're still, you're looking to come back off that bad injury, but you still have a bright future in MMA. You get a win over her. You're now 2-1 over a very established veteran, and you kind of build your card. You build your record. Where do you see this as far as level of importance in your career?
I think honestly, every fight that I've ever taken back to my amateur debut in kickboxing, it was always the most important fight. So that's how I look at this. This is important to me. I want to win. I really worked hard for this. This one just feels really special too. I have a lot of people that will be there. It's going to be a really fun day. So yeah, it's they're always important to me. I work so hard for everything, and every time I compete, I've put in a lot of hours for it. So it's really important to me, and yeah.
I gotta say, it's always fun chatting with you, Sunshine. We've known each other for a while, all the way going back to your amateur debut in kickboxing in Allentown. But one of the important things there is the fact that, of course, if you're going to put this work in mindset wise, your current fight is your most important, right? It's sort of like when they asked, not to bring Tom Brady's name up, but it's sort of like when they asked him what his favorite Super Bowl ring was. This is after I think he won 2 or 3 rings, something like that. So about halfway through, and he said, "My next one," right? And that's important because if you don't kind of stay focused on the now and what's coming ahead, it's easy to kind of get distracted one way or another if you just look into the past. So obviously, whatever fight you're on now is the most important, all the way going back to your amateur career. And of course, that's a great mindset to have. You mentioned the support you're going to have from your friends and your family and your fans being in Pittsburgh, being local to where you are now. You've been a Pittsburgh native, Pittsburgh resident, and adoptive native for a while. What do you think the atmosphere is going to be like? What are you looking forward to both inside the cage and outside of the cage this Saturday?
Gonna be electric, I think.
Love it.
So we're gonna have a tailgate 3:30 at the Sunny Days parking lot. So I think that's just like really cool. Think about like fun sporting environments that you like to go to, Pittsburgh football game, Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's cool that we can add that in for, a local MMA event. Not only just like, a regular event, this, stacked women's card just makes the day so much more special. And it just always like makes me like when people come just to watch me, it almost makes me like want to cry just to think about it that like they're taking, time and money out of their day to come see me. And it's just like, wow. So that always just makes me feel so special. So I think it's going to be electric and I hope everybody has a great time.
Well, that's a perfect word to use for it, electric. And also, you mentioned which I believe is the first uh, kind of tailgate they're doing, which is really, really cool. And also, it's already been announced, which is why I always tell people to follow 247 Fighting Championships Facebook because Hunter Homestead, the GM, and Ryan Middleton, and whoever else is working behind the scenes, do a great job. But they're also doing an after party, which has already been announced, which is cool too. So you're right. Like as far as the atmosphere, people coming out to specifically support you, that's got to feel really good. And also Pittsburgh MMA. Every fight that I go to, I try to talk to people in the crowd and ask them, who are they there for? A lot of times they wear shirts that say who they're there for. But every fight, I meet people who are there not because they know anybody, but they're just there to see local MMA. And I think that is even like more exciting, right? Because then those people can become fans of you, can become fans of certain gyms like the Mat Factory or of course Stout or whatever. And so I think that's like what 247 brings. It doesn't just bring the people that are coming to make your day special, which is wonderful. And we need those fans. We need the people that are going to drive out or come in for it, but also like just people that want to see MMA and then can get connected in a way that they really can't get connected at the UFC level. You can root for people. I'm a big GSP fan. Brian Middleton has made fun of me for years by my fanboy over GSP. But, obviously, I've never met him. I've never been to one of his fights live. But in local MMA, you can really connect with the fighters. You can really get to know them and root on their career. So there's the 3:30 tailgate before all the fights, and I believe the grappling card usually starts a little bit earlier. MMA starts at 7 if I remember right from last time. Grappling started a bit earlier, maybe 5:30 or something like that. But again, Facebook will be updated, and then the after party. So we're talking an entire day of celebrating MMA at the venue for 247. That's just wonderful. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know electric is exactly what the main event is going to be between you and your opponent. 247 Fighting Championships, 247 MMA at the venue. 5 March 14th, which I believe is also St. Patrick's Day. So happy St. Patrick's Day. That's another thing. Get so much. There'll probably be people there wearing green. So thanks so much, Sunshine, for coming on the show. Luke Pace of MMA Fancast. Always my honor to have Sunshine Brittany Bickhart on the show. Main event of the upcoming 247 card, March 14th. Thanks so much for taking time out of your fight week to come on the show. I really appreciate it. Best skills to you Saturday.
Thank you.
Absolutely.